Hi guys, my name is WayneGregzky, and I'm here with my buddy Jesse. We're about to do our review for the Ungoro card set for the Hearthstone season and for Grenades and Goblins, and hopefully talk about a new set of cards that might shake up the stagnant meta we've had so far. We're going to start with Druid and work our way through the classes, and then hit on the neutrals, pretty much skipping all the cards that are not worth time. Jesse and I have both been Legend players before. He's been playing since the beta, but mainly specialized in other card games, and then took that over to Hearthstone and got me addicted and cost me a lot of money.
That's my goal.
Yeah. So let's just start with the first one on the screen here. Totalan Forager, a 2-mana 2/2 Druid card. Add a random minion with 5 or more attack to your hand. I guess the first thing we should really look at is the quest for Druid. Have you seen that yet?
No, I haven't. We should start with the quests for each class first.
Okay. All right. So if you scroll down, you'll see Jungle Giants. It's the 1-mana quest. Summon 5 minions with 5 or more attack, and the reward is Barnabas, which is a 5-mana 8/8 that reduces the cost of minions in your deck to 0.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it's kind of like the Coon Aviana thing built into the quest.
That seems pretty good to me, right?
Yeah, it's like really good. It's
that seems. I mean, you just do that anyway,
right? Like, can't you just somehow jam the quest and like the Malagos finisher to a Jade deck and just summon Jades that are 5/5?
I mean, it's not even that. It's like a lot of these things you have to kind of go out of your way to do, but this one you just kind of like.
Right, you naturally like in Jade you'd always do this, but you don't really need the 0 cost minions. But even in old variants of Druid, like, although some of the cards aren't played anymore, like, you played 1 War and 2 Lore, and, like, you could have just gone there, like, with a Lothab and, like, one other card,
Exactly.
and just had free Drakes for cycle. Now, obviously, those cards have cycled out, but at the same time, this quest, it's what Druid does naturally. Like, if we're playing 2 Ancient of Wars, like, or we can just jam a second, and then, like, you look at some of the other cards in this, like, there's that one card from the last set, Celestial Dreamer, which is a 3-mana 3/3 that upgrades to a 5/5 if you have another 5 attack card in play.
Yeah, I like that card.
Yeah, and so as we go through, let's think about the quest. The obvious implications being some sort of ramp heavy or Malagos finisher Druid, which might not be as strong with, like, how do you think Malagos Druid? Let's say this combo works within that shell. Can that deck work without Living Roots? Is Swipe and Moonfire enough?
It depends how good the aggro decks are. I'm not exactly sure if they are or not. So I think that's the kind of the problem you have to look at, right? Because like Living Roots is if your Malagos lives, you can always have other spells to win the game, right?
Yeah, and that's like just like a tough thing to evaluate, I guess, until like
let's go to the cards first.
Okay.
And then
we'll talk Druid as a picture as a whole.
Right.
So we have the Totalan Forager, 2-mana 2/2, add a random minion with 5 or more attack to your hand. It's okay. It's Magma Rager possibly, but it's adding you a card that helps you complete your quest, putting a body on the board that isn't completely awful. You're never playing this over Wild Growth though on 2, and you're always playing Wild Growth.
Right.
So is the added stats of a 2/2 and a random? I haven't looked at like a spreadsheet on or anything, but is that ever going to be better than just, I don't know, playing a Doomsayer in a slow deck?
Well, you have to look at it this way, right? Is this like what's the best and the worst outcome you can have with this card? Because like a card like this, it's like usually not going to be very good. Then there's no point in sacrificing tempo and stats. So like the Netherspite Historian is a good card because you get to pick and it has synergy with your deck. And this one usually doesn't. So I actually pulled out the 5 attack minions. So we can get like the Zoth, Aviana, Cenarius, Sagat, Sneed. Well, that's not anymore.
No.
Lord War. I don't think you can pull.
You can get like bog creepers, right? You might be able to. I don't want to say that one way or the other. But if you could,
there's Antonidas,
right?
And
but that's
Capture Gurmanger, Confessor Paletress, Don Hencho. So like at the high end is pretty good. Let's look at like the low end. You can get like Priestess of the Loon, Reckless Rocketeer,
Magma Rager.
Yeah,
which actually might not even be that bad in this deck, right? A 3-mana 5-drop, it gets you closer, I guess. Like,
I mean, from what I see, the worst you can get is probably Magma Rager, right?
Or Priestess of the Loon's pretty bad. I mean, that's 6 mana. That's a lot of mana to have on your hand and turn. Because like looking at the way the deck's built, that's a lot of sitting mana in your hand that you have to expend at some point. And in a deck that's going to run 2 Nourishes, can you really afford to have a Priestess of the Loon in your hand?
I think you can, but I do think this card is okay. I actually think this card is good. Like looking at all the options you can get, there's so many 4-drops you can get too, which kind of evens out your curve.
Yeah, and I like the comparison to Another Spice Historian because it works in a similar fashion of it's completing your endgame goal of I need these synergies to get to my quest, whereas you need the dragons in your hand to kind of continue curving out in Dragon Priest.
I think to keep in mind that the average cost this card is going to get is going to be 5, like a 5-mana card. So that's something to keep in consideration,
right?
Because most of the options you get are 5s. And most of the options are like very mediocre, so it's just like it's definitely I think a good card now that I look at all the potential pools. And there's not too many bad ones. So
and
it's not like
Look, then like a low key thing about this card is if 5-drop is truly the average, it might take away some of the pain of Azure Drake. Like obviously you'll miss your Azure Drake swipes, but one of the best things about Azure Drake was that in Druid especially, like you played so many 5s and 4, like so many 5s in that deck that like going double 5-drop on turn 10 was like really, really powerful. And I'm not talking about Jade Druid now, but I'm talking about like a lot of the older variants of Druid where you'd play like Druid the Claw and like Drake Lotheb. And this kind of gives you more cycle because Druid's got powerful draws, but they don't have a frequent amount of them. The velocity can run out quickly in that deck, and this kind of staves that off for one more turn by giving you a high value drop.
Yeah, this card's better than I thought. So
yeah, I kind of talked myself into liking this card. I think it'll see play.
I think it'll see play. It's a pretty cool card. You can get like Cenarius, man. It's like
right, and in a deck that eventually you're gonna play minions for free with, like that's the end game goal. Maybe you get like a high drop that you're just gonna end up playing for 0 mana. And it's a good late game top deck as well because if all your cards cost 0 and you draw this guy late game, you're just got 2 for 1 on a top deck, which is always good. The next card that we'll talk about is the Elder Longneck Battle Cry. If you're holding a minion with 5 or more attack, adapt. Adapt looks really strong. Adapting once is okay. This card is it's hard to evaluate how fast the meta will be and what weapons we'll primarily see, what type of shape of warriors in. But it seems okay. I don't think you play it, but it's an okay card.
I don't think that it's not very good, right? Like so how many options you get to choose from? 3?
Yeah.
So you have a what, like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
You have like what, like an 18% chance at a single one. And like,
you have a 30% chance to get what you want, right?
Oh, 30%. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So the good ones are like there's not very many good. Like for 1 health, it's pretty bad, right?
A 3-mana 5/4 is like the high roll, right?
Yeah, that's still not very good.
Or a buffed up Scarlet Crusader.
Nah, I wouldn't play that. It's just it's too weak.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on. No need to waste time on a card that's not really going to see much. Okay, and then we get to the Verdant Log deck, which is pretty similar, right? It's not enough stats. A 5-mana 5/7's like just not the goal of the deck. I just don't think that makes a cut in anything that I've seen. Yeah. Let's just keep moving on. We got a lot of cards to go through. Earthen Scales is kind of interesting. Give a friendly minion +1/+1, then gain its armor back equal to its attack. Pharaoh Rage hasn't rotated out yet, but this is kind of similar in that respect. but
No, this is bad, right?
it's just I want it to be good because I feel like it's such a flexible 1-mana play, and if you're ever
It's
running
trying
Gadget,
to do two different things. Like you're buffing minions while playing in a slower deck. It's just not something you want to do, right?
right? All right, well let's keep going. Evolving Spores. Let's go past. Let's go past Evolving Spores, and I believe there's a card further down here called Living Mana, and then we'll go back to Evolving Spores.
Okay.
Living Mana is a 5-mana card that transforms your mana crystals into 2/2 minions and recover the mana when they die. So essentially be like Death Rattle 2/2s that flood the board.
They just lose the Master Spell, right?
Yeah, oh, you get absolutely blown out by Master Spell, right? Like, there's just no coming back from that. But if they Master Spell you and you just Innervate Savage Roar, though, like, the game's over.
You can't hit them for, like, 40.
Right. So I want to talk about these two cards because if there's ever, like, a type of, position where you're playing as Druid and there's, like, a board reset and you're able to slam this, if you can somehow pull off the Adapt All Minions, like, it feels like there's something there with this card and this, and like if you're playing a token druid and your first game plan is Soul of the Forest, like teacher shenanigans with like the 1-mana +1/+1 to all. I can't remember the name of it. And
Mark of the Lotus.
Yeah, Mark of the Lotus, and then your backup plan is like just slamming Living Mana and using Evolve Spores to close out games. I mean, if that board sticks at all, like with Soul of the Forest, you can just go across the line and give them Wind Fury plus attack +1/+1. Like can't be targeted. Like summon more plants.
Let's say you play as a curve on 5. That's pretty good,
right?
Right? Like how much? Yeah. You just trade everything in and then play your next threat, or trade
Right. It's like a patron board almost.
Well, actually, do you skip your next turn essentially?
Well, you'd have 1 mana, I believe. I think you still regen mana for like
it's probably not that good then, because you're just kind of skipping your turns.
You're skipping your turn to put out 10 of stats, though. That's
yeah, but you're skipping your turn, man. That's
true. You're not really impacting the board. It's
yeah. I thought you'd get the mana back if you trade them in, man. That's probably a little too.
Well, you get it back. Well, the next turn you'd get it back. So, like, if you played it on 5 mana, you'd go down to 0. And then on turn 6, you'd have 1 mana, and then if you trade it,
but you can't even hero power that turn. Like you can't even do that.
Very true.
I don't know, man. Yeah,
we'll have to see. But Evolving Spores is an interesting card. But again,
do you have to pick for each individual minion?
Yeah, I don't know how that animation would look. They didn't show in the demo, but I imagine if it's individualized, that probably isn't the case. That would take fucking forever, right? Like. You have like
so it's just random? No, if it's
I'm saying like it's adapt. You get 3 choices. It hits them all.
Oh, it does all of them. Oh, okay.
Maybe I don't know. Either way, this card's interesting nonetheless. And I think that's why it's got that 4-mana tag on it. They
want all of them to have Wind Fury, dude.
Right. We just that'd be just stupid. Just Wind Fury and then just Savage Roar. Just get them.
Mega Wind Fury.
And then we have, this card looks great. Shelf Shifter. Choose 1, transform into 5/3 with Stealth, or 3/5 with Taunt. I think it's just a good card. It's a flexible Senjin that fits into that deck. We'll see play.
Are you ever going to play a 5/3 Stealth, though?
If you're ahead or you finish the quest that turn and you get a 5-mana 8/8 to follow it, I think you do.
I guess for anything for the quest, right? I don't think this will see play. This just seems too.
It's a good card. Whether it sees play or not isn't like my total thoughts on it. I think it's
barely good enough. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is just trash. This is just the forms of it. Never mind. After defending the card, I see the 2 forms and be like, oh, that card's just straight trash.
What?
Oh no! I saw like the Shell Shifter and and I was like, oh, these are both awful cards. So maybe that card just sucks.
Oh, this is the one from.
Oh, this is a Fandral.
Yeah,
that's some pretty sweet artwork. And then we already talked about Living Mana. That's really hard to evaluate without playing with it. Giant Anaconda. Summon a minion from your hand with 5 or more attacks, 7 mana 5/3. This card is hot
It's
garbage.
it's probably bad, right?
You're
It's
paying
death,
7
it's
mana
death
for
rattle too.
right, and like what if you're playing against a deck where you need that Ancient Award to trigger, and you just pull it out as a 5/5? Like
It's terrible.
you're paying
bad.
10/8.
It's just
Yeah,
bad.
it's just bad. We don't need
But
it.
you can get it off of the little guy, man.
Right. Well, I mean, if rag was still a thing, then there'd be a consideration. It's just like outside of getting like a bog creeper or a Sagat off of it, none of the creatures that pull off of the death rattle are going to be high impact enough for you wanting them to drop. Is how I feel about it. But
I agree. Yeah, it's
like,
pretty bad.
Yeah. All right. And then we talked about the quest. So what do you think about Druid? Is Barnabas gonna rule, or are we gonna see decks that even rival Jade, or is it just gonna be Jade?
I think people are gonna have this syndrome where they play like a couple new cards and then it's just gonna be back to Jade because their legendary kind of sucks, right? It's just really hard to build around that. So
It's like the really weird, and we'll get to Tyrantus. We can just skip Tyrantus, right? It's a 10-mana 12/12. It's not a good card. And then we'll get to Hunter. But real quickly on Druid, the one thing that, if you go through all of these cards, there's one common theme here, right? We are afraid to give Druid more spells. We are absolutely terrified to give Druid impactful board spells.
Yeah.
That's where the class is right now, is that they understand how strong Jade is. I mean, look at the spells they got. Earthen Scales, Evolving Spores, and Living Mana. They were so afraid to give them anything that could fit into that Jade toolkit, and rightfully so.
I mean, look, it's Druid, right? It's gonna be like tier 1, tier 2.
Right. It's the ultimate broke deck class.
Yeah, it's just always find a way, man. So I'm not worried about Druid. It'll somehow be this mid-range deck, and if Jade somehow gets bumped out, I just don't think it will for the time. Yeah.
Yeah, but let's move on to Hunter, a class that actually needed help. And a class that
I like this card.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, it's
insane,
right? It's just Web Spinner with a battle cry.
Yeah, man.
We won't spend too much time on Jewel McCullough. Then it's Web Spinner. It's good. It's a good card. Yeah. Especially with the let's start with the quest again. I don't know if you've seen this one. I think I told you about it a bit.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I saw.
Yeah, it's the Marsh Queen. Play 7 1-cost minions, and your reward is Queen Carnassa. And Queen Carnassa is a 5-mana 8/8 that shuffles 15 Raptors in your deck. So let's go to the third level of this. And Carnassa's Broods are 1-mana 3/2s that draw a card. The first thing that comes into my mind is Tundra Rhino, and how do I just draw all of these 1-mana 3/2s and just line them up and do 15 damage in one turn? It's a long setup. Can Hunter last that long? Is playing 1-drops consistently gonna be good? It's interesting.
It is interesting, but there's a lot of good 1-drops still. So
and there's an interesting way too long setup where you get to Carnassa and you play the Hemet card before Carnassa, destroy all of your shitty 1-drops, and then just fill it with 3/2s and Tundra, and then draw your Tundra Rhino, and then just all you have left in your deck are 3/2s with draw a card. I mean, every time you play them, you can just go infinite and do 15
my
damage.
thing is it possible to just curve out with this on 5 or 6, right? Because that's when you want it. This quest seems like you want to play everything on curve, right? This is the curve stone at its finest, right? You just want to curve out so you have this quest. It's possible to just not even play anything else but 1-drop and trackings and stuff, man. Because this seems like you just win the game if you get it off early.
One thing that always intrigues me every time I think about this quest is the worst part about this quest is that you have to play it on turn 1, because missing a 1-drop in a 1-drop focused deck is just stupid, right? The whole point of playing a deck with 21 drops is to play a 1-drop on turn 1. Is this quest even worth it at that point? Because on turn 1, if I'm an aggressive Hunter deck and I'm not playing my best card cannot be a quest card. That, right? So that's what concerns me about this is I I don't know what the meta is going to look like and if Hunter has enough time to just play a quest on turn 1.
You should play enough 1-drops in your deck so you can get it on turn 5, man. Turn 5, your play of this deck should just be like the queen, man. Like, that's how you should build this deck, right? Because the later it goes, the worse your deck is. Because, like, 3/2s aren't that, like, great, right? Like, to be honest, even if it swarms the board with 3/2s, there's ways to clear it.
Right, and
But, like...
that's my concern. Is I feel like this deck has more combo than board control potential, and maybe that's wrong. But I mean, on that turn 10, if you did have that hot swapping in the 3/2s, I mean, we're talking about, and maybe one Timberwolf actually does more damage because it would be 5 3/2s, so that's 15. 2 from the Tundra Rhino is 17, and then 6 from a Timberwolf. Well, 7 from a Timberwolf. So that's a fuck ton of damage. That's 24 damage.
It's good, man. I think.
So like if you can get this quest right, you hold on to Carnasa, you play Hemet, destroy everything that isn't a Tundra Rhino. Wait for the next turn, you draw your Tundra Rhino, and then you just start slamming these Raptors, right? And Hemet doesn't destroy cards in your hand, only in your deck, so you can hold on to that Timberwolf. And I think
play like 15 1-drops, man. Like
right, exactly. And then you hit this, you thin out all of those shitty 1-drops that you don't want to play late game. And then you either go for the combo killer or you drop high mains until you get there. Maybe that's the deck, maybe it's not. Maybe it's just mid-range Hunter with a high roll potential of infinite value, right? Because that's what those 3/2s are. But let's go through the other cards here. There are some really interesting ones, and some that I really like that actually are changing. The one thing that I'll say about Hunter before we move on to Crackling Razor Maw, which is an insanely good card. It's the only class that's hero power doesn't affect the board state. So it's really powerful in the respect that it can close out games better than any other class. But it also has trouble if it can't get the board early. And that's kind of what we see with them pushing in this set is giving a little bit more value to it because it lost quick shot, it lost some draw capabilities. And also giving it some powerful early game weapons. Because it can't ping, it can't create a dude, it can't create a totem that impacts the game in any eventful way, and it has absolutely no AoE other than Unleash and Power Shot. So, anyways, Crackling Razor Maw is probably the best 2-drop that they printed for Hunter in a while. Even King's Alec wasn't over the top. You had to hit it for it to be anything worthwhile, otherwise it was just a Bloodfund Raptor. This has that same potential, but with all the 1-drops or waiting later on, adapting a friendly beast and having 3/2 in stats is not a bad price to pay. What do you think?
Yeah, pretty good, man. Do we have any 1-drop beasts besides?
Yeah, we'll get to them. Grievous Bite is just good early removal. I don't really have too much more to say about that. I think it's just a good card. It's 4 damage for 2 mana. It's good at slowing down aggression of other decks. Does it fit into a fast Hunter deck? Probably not. It can't hit face.
No, this card's not good.
And then, so here's one of the 1-drop beasts. 1-drop. What the fuck did I just say? Here's one of the 1-drop beasts. Raptor Hatchling. It's a 1-mana 2/1, incredibly cute. Shuffle a 4/3 Raptor into your deck. It is also a 1-drop. We can scroll down and see that. It doesn't seem that great.
It's pretty bad, right?
Yeah, it's bad. Unless you're drawing the 4/3 in the next turn, it's just okay.
Okay.
Terrascale Stalker. It's exactly the same as the Hunter Legendary, which is completely ridiculous and shows how underpowered Princess Huhuran was. Battlecry, trigger friendly minions Death Rattle. What Death Rattles are we triggering on turn 2? In Wild Mad Scientist would be absolutely like nuts.
Yeah, pretty good. Creeper.
Can you play this as a 3-drop? Probably not. It's just worse on average than Shaky Zip Gunner. As a curve play. So I don't think this card sees much play unless there's a control hunter. But even then, like what are you control hunting? Like you can't even trigger Sylvanas anymore, so like just like the late game value, like other than high main, you're never playing Cairn. So I don't know what death rattles you really want to trigger. But let's keep moving on.
Target your own hero portrait.
Yeah. Draw 2 1-cost minions from your deck, a 5-mana 3/5. So this is good for the quest if you're playing it in a slower variant. It seems okay. It doesn't have a beast tag, which I don't know that matters. I don't know. Fetch draws are always interesting. This is a pretty slow card.
Way too slow. Way too slow.
Yeah, it's kind of my consensus here.
You want to finish the quest and play the lady on curve on 5.
Right.
I think that's the way the deck should be built. Like a long game, you're gonna get run over.
And is drawing 2 1-drops from your deck ever better than playing Burglary Bully?
Just not good, man.
Okay. Stampede, 1 mana card. It is the better version of Lock and Load. Whenever you play a beast this turn, add a random beast to your hand. This synergizes well with those 1-drops that we saw because it's late game fuel. If you have this card in one of those 1-drops that just somehow is still in your deck, you play this and you just get gas. So
you don't need gas though.
That's true. But if in a world where you're not at the quest yet, and you just run out of steam because you're playing only 1-drops. So if you start out the game and you're off the coin, you'd start out with 4 cards in hand. You play the quest. You go up to 4 cards. You play 2 1-drops. You're down to 3 cards. At some point, gas could be an issue, and this gives it to you. So it's okay. I don't know if it'll find a home. It's a one-of if it does. Just because once you complete the quest, you have all the draw in the world. And
you don't
drawing the card's always better than a random one.
Although it is a 1-mana card, so
right, exactly.
I like 1-mana cards. Very low, very low investment.
Right, exactly. So we'll see. And it is really like high potential.
Probably really cool looking golden dude.
Yeah, definitely. And then our next one is finally solving a hunter board problem issue with their hero power. Your hero power becomes give a beast +2/+2. I do not believe this stacks. I don't think it's like Shadow Man, whatever the priest one is.
Okay.
This card's really good.
Is it?
I think the mana investment's a lot tempo-wise. If you have the time to play it though, and you're playing the quest Raptors, and you're just drawing and playing cheap minions, you can invest 2 mana late game to make a 3/2 a 5/4. That's kind of great. Is it better than doing 2 damage to your opponent? I don't know.
Nah, I don't think so.
This will probably not see play. I think it's a cool card, and I think it's good. I just don't think there's ever a meta where it's important to give your beast +2/+2 unless you're in a top deck battle and you need as much value per minion as possible.
I think if it's 1 mana, this card should just be 1 mana.
Right, if it's 1 mana, I'd rather play this than the quest then. For 1 mana on turn 1.
That's, still not that great, right? If you think about it that way.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just a bad card, terribly designed card.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's keep moving on. And just shows how we talked about this when we did the review for Mean Streets. We said that the hand buff is a waste of pretty much 1/3 of an expansion, and even a targeted hand buff as a hero power. By the way, it is a beast too, so it is subjective. It's not any minion, so actually this is kind of awful. Because if you have any non-beasts on the board, and then you just float 2 mana, that's just fucking terrible. It's like being a priest and not being able to heal anything.
Feels me, man.
So this card's just awful. Just shows how bad buffing can end up being.
What's the legendary then? Let's see.
And this is Swamp King Dread. After your opponent plays a minion, attack it. Do you ever have enough time to play this card? Probably not. And if you do, did you already win? Probably.
What if you play something with the poison?
Right. No, if they adapt into poison, it's just dead. It literally just dies. So.
What's the class legendary? They're so bad.
They've never printed a good hunter class legendary. But let's move into mage because
that's true.
Just real quickly on hunter, it looks like they got a lot of interesting cards. It'll be fun to play with. Again, just no spells that are over the top other than the quest. That 1 mana beast card is kind of interesting, right? With infinite summons or whatever.
Yeah.
Stampede. That card's interesting, right? Like it's nothing over the top. And I do like the mini explosive shot. If there's ever a push to try to make a controlling hunter variant, that'll go a long way against aggressive decks.
I'll give you that.
But let's start with Mage. And the new Mad Scientist that is not as powerful, but still a really strong card.
This is so good in Reno.
Oh, it's so good in Freeze Mage.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, this card's
well,
rip Freeze Mage.
Right. But we'll get to why Freeze Mage ripped. And any type of controlling mage that wants to play Iceblock, you just play this card, right?
Yeah, this card's great and wild.
Right. So this is just a really high power level card. It's statted really well. You still
Do we
have...
get any more secrets?
Yeah, we got one. We got one. We'll get to it. It might even be the next one.
Okay.
It's not. Flame Geyser. Deal 2 damage at a 1/2 elemental to your hand. This just seems kind of bad.
Is it? Okay. I'm not sure how...
Is Jade Shuriken good? Is Jade Shuriken ever good?
No, because you have to combo it, man. It sucks.
Right. Well, so that's the point. It depends if having a 1/2 elemental in your hand is important. If it's not
just for 1 mana. Okay.
Right. Yeah. So like, if having a 1/2 in your hand is important, like incredibly important, then I guess this is okay. Well, also it depends if the meta is dominated by 2/3s or 3/2s. Are you ever playing this over Frostbolt? No.
It's probably like a good tribal card, right? Because like, okay, we'll have to see more of the elemental cards.
And we could come back and talk about that one. And
yeah,
the Flame Elemental is pretty cute. That should be noted.
That's a really bad card. I would not play it with.
Yeah. 2 mana 2/1. Hey, let's have another Babbling Book. Is Babbling Book so good that you can add 1 stat point to it and could make it cost another mana and it's worth it?
Is it rotating out?
No.
Oh, then you never played this card. Right?
Well, we didn't go to the quest first. Let's go to the quest.
Oh, okay. Ooh. Yeah, we should always start with the quest.
I know. Well, I lost focus. All right. I saw the cute little elemental. Okay, so the quest is open the Waygate, cast 6 spells that didn't start in your deck, reward Time Warp. And do you know what this card does, Jesse?
It's a meme, dude. This is like you get rewarded for memeing people.
Right. This is the Arcane Giants Alex Straza deck.
Oh my god. Oh, the Time Warp. Oh my god.
Because then, like, they don't take a turn. Your turn ends. Your minions essentially have charged. You Alex them. Boom. Dead. Game over.
Gosh.
So there's unlimited combo potential with this, because you can even like just Frostbolt, Time Warp, Pyroblast. That's 16 damage. That's a lot.
So can quests be counterspell?
Not if you play them after turn 1, or only if you play them after turn 1, right?
Oh, I mean that would be kind of weird.
Right, because if you're playing a quest, like you start with it in your hand. So.
Okay.
If you don't,
I don't know, man. That seems really gimmicky.
It is. Oh, it's extremely gimmicky. It's just, can Mage get that far in the game? But you also don't have a way to beat a taunt, like you just lose. And you have no way to duplicate your 8/8s.
Okay.
It's not like you have an Echo of Medivh, so kind of bullies the deck.
Yeah, you have to play cards that says random in it 6 to infinite times, and that's not
right.
That's
and you also have to live long enough without Reno to play them.
Yeah, like you can Babbling Book once to win a championship, but I don't think
he did it multiple times, right? Because he polymorphed and twice, I think.
Anyhow.
But anyways, let's talk about the cards that'll get us there, and see if any of them move us forward into a place where we can complete that quest and meme. Shimmering Tempest is it's too slow, more than likely.
That's bad, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mana Bind. When your opponent casts a spell, add a copy to your hand that costs 0. This card's interesting because unlike Counterspell, well, both of them get hard countered by a coin, which it sucks. Unlike Counterspell, though, this gives Mage can do a lot more with spells than any other class can. So it's interesting. I think this might even be better than Counterspell. Solely in a control deck where you're not trying to build a board of your own, because Counterspell can protect a board for a mage. That's why I got played in tempo decks or mech decks back in the day. However, if you're being a reactive mage deck, gives you more reactive tools or more draw capabilities, and cheats mana.
Hard, right? Like because when are you ever gonna play? Spells aren't usually more than 3 mana, right? Maybe 4 mana. So you're like taking a reactive role in the game, and then like gaining not even 1 mana sometimes. Because the best spell you're probably gonna get is Nourish, right? Like that's the absolute best scenario. Absolute worst scenario, you get like a Wrath or something. But it's like, well, you know, you're paying it's a 3 mana Wrath in that case, and it's just I don't know.
Well, I mean, Cabal Lackey is a card. It's not a good one, but you could cheat this out for 0 mana on turn 1 or 3 with Kirin Tor. I think the thing that really power limits this card is Kazakus is in effect rotating out. And Reno Lock in general, they played a lot of expensive spells that have a lot of utility. And if Druid has a Rise, Druid spells aren't overly powerful, at least in other classes. I think this has a lot of tempo potential, but you're right. I mean, how much mana are you sacrificing to get a card that you didn't want to play in the first place?
Yeah, it's not. It's pretty bad.
Okay. Molten Reflection. Choose a friendly minion to summon a copy of it. I guess this works with the Time Warp a little bit. You can't play it with Anton. What card do you want to play this on? A Giant?
It's a worse Faceless Manipulator, right?
When is it ever better than Faceless? For 1 mana difference?
It's 1 mana, yeah. It's just, like, you can get it. I think a lot of the implications of these bad cards is that it gives more flavor to the game when you get them. So, yeah. I don't see an implication with this card, and I don't think you ever will.
Yeah, I'm pretty much right there with you.
Yeah.
And here's an Elemental for Mage.
Ooh.
4 mana 5/4, which is really good. If you played an Elemental last turn, add a Flame Geyser to your hand. And Flame Geyser is that 2 mana, 2 damage card. Yeah, that is really good. It's a high value card, right?
Dude, it's 3 cards in 1.
Is Flame Geyser good though?
It's free, man. Like if you're playing Elemental and you're just playing this card that gets a free card that plays another Elemental, then let something else do that similar effect.
You get to change your Elemental effects. Yeah.
This card is absolutely bonkers if you're playing Elemental Mage. Like, I don't know how good it is, but just this card contextually, it's insane. Insane card.
Yeah, and I guess it all comes down to what your turn 3 is, because if you're Flame Geysering on 2, and you're just dropping a 1/2 Elemental, like, what are the 3-drop Elementals? We'll have to find out what they are and kind of go more into detail with this card.
This card in a Tribal Shell is broken. Like, it's so good.
Yeah, especially when your Tribal Shell revolves so strongly around having to play them and not having.
Biggest question: can the Flame Geyser smork? Yes, it can, dude. It's good.
It can smork. That's true.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
It's no Goblin Blast Mage though.
No, nothing. We're not talking about 2014 here.
Okay, and here's a good version of the second Babbling book. Primordial Glyph. Discover spell, reduce its cost by 2. This card's okay. It's a Reno card. It's tough. It's a lot of utility, but you're paying 2 mana to look for a card that you either haven't drawn yet or that you don't have in your deck and need for a specific circumstance. So it's so control focused, or it's more burn. It's got a lot of utility. Do you play it though?
It's a Cobble expansion.
It feels like it. Everyone was so happy after League of Explorers, thinking that Discover was amazing, that they just went nuts with it, and they will not stop printing it. They won't print solutions to mechanics that were broken that had potential, like Inspire potentially could have been a cool mechanic if they did it right, but rather they'll go back and take a broken mechanic and see how far they can break it, and let's just see
like
the
this
bullshit.
card would not see play if it was without the quest, right?
Right. Well,
so how good is this card?
I think obviously as a one-up, but I think this would see play in Reno Mage.
Is Reno Mage gonna even be played?
Well, Kazakus Mage, and no, I don't think there's enough. Every time I played any of the Reno decks, anytime I've ever played them, other than Reno Priest, which wasn't great, I felt like it was Kazakus or bust, or Reno or bust in half the games.
Yeah. I mean, this needs to give him more incentive. Like, you need to reduce it by like 3 or something.
Yep, I'm in the same boat as that. Let's move on. Meteor. Deal 15 damage to a minion and 3 damage to adjacent ones. As somebody else said, I think it was Frodan, does it really matter if it says 15 or 100 damage to a minion? Other than Ysera? Even if Ysera does this. It's single target removal. It's probably almost never better than Polymorph. I just think it's too slow. Maybe
because like if this card is good, okay, somehow in the world where this card is good, people will learn to play around it too, right? So like they can just position like awkwardly for you.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of mana to pay for single target removal essentially.
It just looks good because it's 15, but it
right. You look at it and it says 21 damage for 6 mana, but
yeah,
what it really says is destroy a minion and deal 3 damage to the ones next to it. Which could be good, but it's so situational that if you're ahead on board and you draw this, you might just lose the game. All right, we talked about Time Warp. It has combo potential, but until we get to actually play test, it looks pretty gimmicky.
Yeah, it's hard to theory craft a combo deck.
Right. And here's Pyros, which looks really, like, initially I thought it's just a value card that doesn't stack well for mana. Seeing the Elemental Fusion and Trap Synergy, having an on-curve drop as an Elemental is pretty damn important. So this card might be okay. It returns...
Oh, it's an Elemental?
Yeah.
That's insane.
And every tier of it's an Elemental.
Yeah.
So this card is just really good value, really good as an Elemental Synergy. Is it broken? No, but it's just really good. It's just, like, really pretty darn good.
It's well designed.
Yep.
I like this card.
The only thing that I saw that someone...
Oh, wow, Pyros can... oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, PogChamp. I don't know, man. This might be pushing a little bit.
Well, the one thing that I saw someone post that like would have said, like, you really want to make Pyros like the Phoenix type of card, the 10 mana one should return to your hand as a 2/2. However, if you get to that point in the game and you haven't won, you're going to get jaded the next turn. So,
yeah.
But this card's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I didn't know it rebirthed again, man. I didn't think they had like 6 lives. Like, but that's okay. That makes it like a lot better.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how relevant this 10-10 on 10 is gonna be, but it's definitely like a good like incentive to play this card a little more, right? Like I thought it was just a 2/6, like it goes like that.
No, it's got like a 3rd tier. Yeah, it's got a lot of interesting synergies and value to it because
that is the legendary.
You're playing one card for 3, right?
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Okay.
But card advantage doesn't matter in this game, so.
Right. Well, not when you have patches. So, anyways, adaptation. The first palette.
Is this?
Can
we go to the
quest?
Yeah.
So this is the Game Breaker quest.
Ooh, okay. Let's see Galvadon then. Whoa.
So the dream scenario for Galvadon, Jesse, I don't know if you've seen anything of him. We give him +3 attack. We give him +3 attack. We give him +3 attack, or +1/+1, or +3 health. We give him Wind Fury and Stealth. and we kill you the next turn, no matter what you do. Because then we'll just equality consecrate whatever you have in front of him. So Galvadon is a finisher. You win the game the turn like a large percent of the time that you get to Galvadon, if you're not gonna die the next turn, they are.
Okay. I heard somewhere each adept is worth like 1.5 mana, right?
1 point. Is it really? Yeah, I guess it is pretty close to that. Yep.
Yeah. 1.5 mana.
At random, it's worth less than a mana. Depending on what you get, it could be worth more.
All right. I think they say on average the
Sure.
DC is 1.5. So let's just say in a numerical value, this is a pretty beefy card, man. Just like this is a good call.
This is what you consider a reward from a quest to beat, right? Like,
it's definitely there's a lot of loot.
And we're playing this card, like, if you do, like, I don't know, we'll find out what percentage of time that you do get Wind Fury and Stealth is, but if it's decently high, you're playing this in a deck where you probably already played Blessing of Might, Blessing of Kings, other buffs that you can toss on this guy for the finish afterwards, too. I mean, it is just extremely strong, and it's even good from if you're in a losing spot and you play Galvadon, you just beef up its health, give it Taunt, and make it Soggoth for 5 mana.
Divine Shield,
yeah.
Some shit like that. Yeah, so, it's good. It's definitely good. Good reward.
So let's look at how we can get there.
It's no time warp, but
yeah, for sure. Okay. So adaptation, adapt a friendly minion. This is just if you're right about that mana costing on an adaptation, this is a pretty good card.
Does it count towards the quest?
Yes.
It's probably okay.
Yeah, that's.
I probably wouldn't play this still.
Yeah, I guess on the chance that like your offerings are Stealth, Taunt, and Wind Fury on a 1-drop, it's not good.
It's anything on a 1-drop is still not very good, right? Like, I don't know.
Well, we'll move forward and you'll see some of the cards that they printed that might change your mind. Lost in the Jungle, summon 2 1/1 Silverhand Recruits. It's okay. It's priced properly.
It's a card.
Yeah, it's a card. Let's keep going. Hydrologist, Battlecry discovers secret.
This card looks dang.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Honestly,
yeah,
discovering secret's good. I don't know if they added any secrets, but overall, this card in a deck that you're going to play quickly gives you something to keep on curving, and that's always good.
Dude, he has 1 tooth. That's amazing.
Yeah, look at the little front. Look at the little blue guy in the background. But honestly, this is a pretty good card. I like it.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Okay, so this is where the Lost in the Jungle gets a little bit better, I guess. Lightfuse Stegodon, 4-mana 3/4 beast. Adapt your Silverhand Recruits. Is that a good turn 5 play?
Not really, because you're adapting 1/1s.
And how much are you hero powering in a quest deck for this class? I don't think you are that much. Like, it's more important to play spells and minions, and play spells on minions and such. And so I don't know how many Silverhand Recruits you ever stick at one time. And just because you're adapting once, since they're 1/1s, most AoE will take care of the Silverhand Recruits quite easily. And even if you played a bunch of 1/4s,
It's pretty funny and wild.
Yeah, in Wild, it's stupid because you can do this muster and then Quartermaster or whatever.
That's wild.
Yeah. Let's move forward. Spikered... Wait, what the fuck is that named? Spikeridge Steed. Give a minion +2/6. We saw that. So, +2/+6 in the past was valued at 5 mana with Power Word Tentacles, which was a god-awful card. But in general, 8 stats and Paladin's been valued at 4 mana. So give it Taunt, which is less than a mana probably. And when it dies, summon a Stegodon. So this is a lot. And a Stegodon's a 2/6 Taunt. So this card, you have to have the board for it to be decent, but it's a lot of value.
It's hard to evaluate this card.
Right? It's a lot of stats.
It's a lot. 6 mana is a ton of mana.
It's a ton. But I mean, a 2/6 with taunt, and then another 2/6s with taunt essentially is crazy. But if Paladin isn't able to sustain a board until turn 6, this card is garbage. You can't top deck this card if that's the case. So.
The thing with Paladin is like you can like later on in the game or something like you'll always have a guy, right? Like that's the point of like these secrets with Hydrologist too. You can always have a guy on the board. So I don't think there's going to be a huge problem with finding something to put it on. It's just like, is there anything better to do than playing this card on 6, right? Like that's my concern. I'm not concerned about having a guy, especially with playing the secret, the Hydrologist. And this will ensure that, like, later on in the game, you'll always have something on the board.
Yeah, that's true. Also, if it does end up if the buff does end up landing on a 1-attack creature, though, is paying a total of 8 mana for the potential to have a 3-attack creature followed by a 2-attack creature enough of a board impact to thin out the aggression or the other side of the board? And I tend to think it isn't, and that's what scares me the most about this card. Is that if you're smacking into it with an 8 health creature that just solos it, I'm probably going to lose this game. Like if one of your questing 5 mana 8/8s just smacks into this card.
Yeah.
That concerns me a bit.
I think we're I'm letting the, like, how impactful is this 2/6 that comes out afterwards, right? Like, it just, oh, man. It's a hard card to evaluate.
If you have the board, it's better than Sludge Belcher, though. It's a lot better than Sludge Belcher if you have the board. For 1 more mana. It's like another, 8 stats or something? If it's on a 1/1, it's 2 more stats on the first body, and then, 5 more... 5 more stats on the second body? So
yeah, but they can do stuff to it. Like, they can, like, silence and stuff, too. So.
Yeah, how much do you see silence though? We'll find out with the upcoming expansion, but on a meta value, it's better than still Sludge Belcher, and in like a very fixed scenario, right, where you don't see silence, and you consistently have a 1/1 on the board or a minion to put it on. So it's a really tough card to evaluate, and it's.
I don't think it's good.
I think it's too slow as well.
Okay.
So let's move on to Steg. Oh, that's the guy that comes out. Vine. This looks just absolutely bad to me. I get that it's really value intensive, getting 12 damage over 3 turns with 6 1/1s. I don't know what you're doing on turn 7 that this is ever a good enough removal tool. But it is interesting. It does give you bodies that kind of combo with that buff card. I don't know. If you're behind on board, this is just the worst card in the game.
Not great.
Yeah. Let's keep moving. So this is an interesting card.
Dude, my man, that's what I'm talking about.
This is the type of card that
this card is sweet.
This is the build around card for the quest, right?
Yes.
This is like the Mean Street Marshal type of card from the last set, although that didn't pan out. This is how I felt about Mean Street Marshals. Whenever you give a really powerful effect to a low drop, like drawing a card for 1 mana has never been done before. And that's what really got me going nuts with Mean Street Marshal. I know you have to invest more mana in it, but still, a 1 mana cycle is really powerful. This is a 2 mana one that's going to cycle a ton, essentially.
There's a lot of synergy from the last expansion with these 1-attack cards, right? So.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if the Smugglers runs of the world come back with this. I think they do. If you hand buff this with Smuggler's Run, do you get it back? Because if you do, it's pretty nuts.
No, you cast on this minion. I think you have to, like, target it.
Okay. Either way, it's still, like... If you're able to get
you
more
have to actually cast a spell.
Okay. If you're able to get a Blessing of Kings on this and chain it for another turn, it's good. This is a good card.
Yeah, it's fine. I think it's definitely fine.
Dino size, set of minions, attack and health to 10. So this is the first Paladin finisher we've ever had, because you have those crazy Stone Tusk Boar synergies.
It was Tyrion, man. What are you talking about? That's the OG.
Right. But no, I'm just saying, like, in a control Paladin deck, you know, like, Warrior always had ground, Paladin never was able to close out games that way. This gives you a cheesy, albeit, but somewhat of a combo potential. It's a bad card though.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't play it, right? So.
I mean, I'm a memer at heart, and I see Smork, I play Smork, and I feel like I could really like knock some heads off with this card. This is just
that is the Neville's card right there.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see him play Dino Size. Okay, we talked about the quest. Galvadon is just super powerful.
Oh, okay. Let's look at legendary.
And our legendaries again. So this is another set that goes by, where Blizzard's decided that Paladin is not a tribal quest ever. No elementals. They tried it with one dragon, which was clearly not enough. The mech card of the game was that 5 mana 6/3 that gets a divine shield if you have another mech in control.
Oh yeah.
Other than their silver hand recruits, they're very, very adamant about not giving Paladin tribal synergies. I just think that's interesting.
It's like a peasant militia infantry tribal class now.
Yeah, and again we saw. Correct me if I'm wrong. No removal spells one more time.
Oh right, I did not see any.
Yep, kind of weird. I guess this is kind of soft removal, maybe. Set all other minions attack and health to 3. Is this ever better than Adric the Pure for one less mana? We're out of Consecrate range. You can't play this on turn 10 with Consecrate.
Is Adric cycling out?
Yes.
It's pretty good against Jade decks, right?
It's good against Jade decks. It's good if you have a board of shitty fucking Silverhand recruits. Set them up to 3 and just smork.
This card is good, but it's really situational, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
If it was 2, it'd be OP though, right? Because Consecrate on 10.
I mean, that's just what it should be.
Right, I agree, but that's what they did for Warrior. But we'll get to that in just a minute.
Oh man, this is gonna be a botchery when I look at that class now.
Yeah. Any thoughts on Paladin other than Galvadon's really good?
I think Paladin is gonna. I just don't think the buff thing is very good. Like it was never that good.
Right.
So.
The thing is that Paladin still doesn't have strong enough 1 mana plays and early game plays, even with the slight additions that they've had. That makes me think that they'll ever win an early board. And I don't think Galvadon decks win late game. So.
All right, we can talk about all the classes like in general later when everything's done.
Okay, let's go through Priest real quick. Binding heals. It's flash heal, but it doesn't work with Auchenai because you take 5 damage. It's a little bit better than flash heal in some scenarios. It's worse in others. It's just a card.
Is it better than flash heal?
I don't think so, because Flash Heal being used as removal with Auchenai is just super powerful, or as a killer, like a finisher. So this is only to a minion, and it damages your own hero. There's no
like with Pyro, this card is better.
True.
Because you get health back.
True.
This could be what we need for like like you want to run like many copies of these cards to work with Arcanine and Cleric. But those cards, you probably never want to support those cards anymore. So I think, but this card, it's a good card if you're looking to run this deck.
And I mean, just in general, it's, whatever you want to call it, 10 power or 10 health for 1 mana. So it's it's powerful. So that's what I'll say about it. But I don't know how strong it is, but it is definitely
like Flash Shield's a good card, right?
Right.
This card's a good card. So
yeah, it's the only thing. Like I said, the only thing that troubles me with it is with Auchenai, I'm dealing 5 to my face, and I don't know if I can deal with that.
But it's like better to have more options than not, right?
Right.
So
I agree.
Is Flash Shield going out or no?
Flash Shield is rotating out. Yep.
Oh, okay. Then I guess that's all we got, man.
Yeah, yeah. I think that was TGT.
Oh, rip.
It could have been Whispers though. It might have actually been Whispers. I take that back. I think it's Whispers. Radiant Elemental. 2 mana, 2/3. Your spells cost 1 less. It's an elemental. Spells costing 1 less is cool.
Flash Shield is TGT, so.
It is? Okay.
Yeah, so that's all we got.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
Rip,
this card...
Rip, Flash Shield, and Lighted Now are both better versions of that, potentially.
Yeah.
Um,
So scary class.
So this is the dream for this card is a 2/5 on turn 2, right? You power word shield it.
Like cards like this is pretty scary, right? Like
right. This is why
cards are...
the last time we hung out, I said I think they're gonna go a tempo direction with Priest. Although the quest doesn't suggest it, and this card does suggest it. But what Priest spells do you want to reduce?
Like Pain, Power Shield.
It has to live though. It's not permanent.
Yeah, but like it's the same argument with Sork.
Yeah, but a Sorcerer's Apprentice wasn't played until Flamewaker. Like that's what made that card insane, and they had mirror images to protect it. You have no way.
I mean,
to protect
like
this
if you, but you have Power Shield.
Right.
So
Power Shield.
If you
is
do
the
have Power
dream
Shield. Yeah, but that's kind of like having mirror image to protect it.
That's
too,
true.
Right? Like most of the time, you just play the 3/2 naked. Like that's what happens 90% of the time, right? You just play the Sorcerer's Apprentice naked, and then you like Arcane Intellect, and then like play like Frostbolt their guy, right? That's how you get ahead, like the turn after.
True.
If they don't kill it, so like this is good. Like you know, like you play 3/2. Yeah.
It's a strong card.
This is good. Yeah, well, like I don't know how much use you're gonna get out of
Right.
it.
I don't think it has as much utility because Priest's cheap spells are generally not as impactful on the board as mages. But I mean, you could play with Holy Smite and like kill off a 3/2 and have a 2/3 on the board, and then you run into the Priest problem of I can't draw cards. But whatever, you can't. Why would you want to have Priest as a class in the game? Because until they put dragons in, it just broke them for 3 months. So we'd shut up about Priest.
I don't see the problem. There has to be one 9th class.
Yeah.
Always going to be a 9th.
Right. I don't really feel like talking about Tortal and Shellraiser because I think it's awful.
It's probably bad, right?
Yeah. Let's just move on. This is a good card. Everyone gets a Web Spinner. Everyone gets a Babbling Book. Crystalline Oracle. Copy a card from your opponent's deck and add it to your hand.
That's pretty good. Sure.
Yep. It's an elemental.
It's
got
a 1-drop, man.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Right.
That's the key.
Mirage Caller. It is trying to still push that summon a 1/1 on the board already. Thing that Priest had.
Oh yeah, with the legendary.
Yeah, Herald Village. This card has implications in a Death Rattle deck, but we don't really have the Death Rattles that make you want to do that. Playing this on the 1-drop is the same as playing a blank 2/3 and a 1-drop. So that's out of the question. The question is, what do you want to copy? And it's the high-value ones like Cairn or the Taunt.
Like, you don't get the battle cry when you spawn the copy, right?
No.
Okay. Sorry, I was thinking about a different game.
Yeah.
I'm confused.
This card is just low statted for its board impact, in my opinion, unless you're playing it late game on a Cairn or something of that nature.
But if you make it too big, it could just be really good. So
right.
I don't know.
It's
probably
it has potential, but it's probably not good.
Yeah. All right, let's look ahead then.
Yeah. We skipped the quest, but the quest is the most boring piece of shit in this entire game.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry. Like they gave us N'Zoth, and then they said, hey, like Death Rattles are cool, so everyone just jammed Death Rattles into decks, whatever deck they could. Priest. There was even like Reno Mage N'Zoth. Everyone just jammed N'Zoth cards, right? It was similar to like Pirates of Jade, or how Finja is now. Like let's jam Murlocs in every fucking deck possible, and we can scroll down because it's like 2 cards down or 3 cards down. Awaken the Masters.
Oh my
Summon
God.
7 Death Rattle minions. Reward Amara, Warden of Hope. And it's basically just says, hey, this is Reno with a taunt. And it's really powerful, don't get me wrong.
This is pretty dank, right?
It's really strong, but if they kill this and your N'Zoth, like if they can get through your waves, like whatever. I just think it's like really boring, right? Like
yeah, but it's to me it's cool, but I can understand it's just not like It's definitely a cool reward because the thing with priests, people are always like, "Hey man, like, can we have more maximum health?" You know? Like, if like warriors can go up to like 100 armor.
And I get that. My problem with this is that they went back and everyone's complaining about class identity. And Priest has only had 2 class identities, Dragons and Death Rattles. And they didn't try to get creative with it. They just said, let's just do the Death Rattle thing again.
Yeah, I still like the OG Priest map, like the one before all this shenanigans come out.
Right.
That was the best deck. So.
Yeah, the way you played double Cabal, you played like just a
mind control. It was a sweet deck, dude. It was awesome.
Yeah. So they instead of interactive board trading and resource valuation,
that's awesome.
They said the 2 identities that we care about are Death Rattle and Dragon. We did Dragon last time. We'll do Death Rattle this time, and that's why I'm so livid about it.
So they'll do Dragon again the next set, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, Dragon Operative is still a card that people have to pay money for another year.
God, that's like we're calling this right here, right?
That's the 100%, right?
It's gonna be Undragon.
Yeah, so,
Undrag or something.
Yeah. The lost fossils of Midogo, and it'll be all about
please edit that out. Yeah, we're definitely editing that
out. Free from Amber, discover a minion that costs 8 or more, summon it. So Yogg, N'Zoth, anything with a battle cry gets pretty bad. You don't want to play an 8-mana 8/8. This card's just.
Wait, summoning it does not mean you get.
It does not trigger battle tries. You have to play it.
Are you 100% sure?
1000% certain.
Oh man, I don't know, dude. Let's see what we can get out of this, though. Like
you're looking at Sagoth, but the thing is like because this card is so highly costed at 8 mana, I don't want to look at 8 drops because then I should just play the 8 drop.
Right.
So if we're looking at 10 mana and cards or higher, it's like Giants.
Yogg,
a 7/5. N'Zoth, a 5/7. I guess Yashirai is good. But
I assume it's only priest cards too.
Yeah, that's how I base my assumption on every discovery.
You Malygos, Sagoth, Ysera.
Ysera's good because you save a mana, you summon Ysera. That's a good card.
Chromagus. I think everything just goes to the shitters after that.
Exactly.
Kelt is on. That's a Medivh? No, you don't get the battle.
You don't get Atiash.
Oh my gosh.
Now, if you're talking about we're playing this alongside of Medivh, then it's a more interesting card.
Sure. Medivh is a sweet card, though.
Yeah, I do like Medivh.
It's actually like a really sweet card.
He's in the same boat as Archdief or Fam. If the meta ever allowed it, those cards would have been bonkers.
Yeah, this card is not good. I just looked at all the options and
it's not good.
Not very incentivizing.
And then our next card is Shadow Visions. Discover a copy of a spell in your deck.
Wait. Huh. This could be really good, man.
It's really good for value, right?
It's not even a value. It's essentially just saying you're playing half a copy of each spell in your deck additional. And it thins your deck so you can draw better cards. No, you don't get to thin your deck. But if you only play like 3 or 4 different spells and you play 2 copies of each, you're guaranteed to get 3 out of the 4 spells in your discover, right?
And not that this is the issue going forward, but in old metas, because that's all we can really look. We can look forward as well. But with the amount of big minions, because a lot of these quests have 5-mana 8/8s. If you don't have a Shadow Word Death and you have a board against an 8/8, having a discover shot at getting one of your 2 Shadow Word Deaths is probably a decent percentage.
Like you can even like Shadow Visions for like this leads to like insane pyro chains too with like clarity.
Right. And with that
like Shadow Visions for like Circle of Healing, and it's pretty good in like a control variant because like Control Priest is essentially like in some way, shape, and form like a combo deck too, right? But then I'm talking about like things that happened in 2015, so.
Right, and I mean, to be fair though, if there is ever a chance that Valen combo, some shenanigan like that can work, This card can give you that third Mind Blast or whatever.
But Emperor is gone, so there's no...
Right. On the flip side, you could also use that spell reduction card, because Smites would be 0 and Mind Blast would be 1, so you could go Valen, Elemental guy, Mind Blast, Smite for 18. Which is not great, but it's a thing.
I think this card is a good card.
Yeah, it is.
In certain decks, and I think people probably won't rate this card very high, but and it probably won't see too much play because of how Blizzard implemented this class. But if it was like the older priest, this card would be really good, I think.
Yeah, I did too.
Because you're not playing that many spells in your deck. You're just playing 2 copies of all the spells, right?
Right, and like with that deck, you used to play so many micro combos that if you didn't have the right cards at the right time, you're fucked. This card says, hey, here's a second shot at it. Especially in late game turns where you might float mana anyways, that card's just always good.
Well, this card's, I mean, it's a well-designed card, but it's not backed up by anything else.
Right.
It's kind of unfortunate.
All right,
let's see this other meme.
Curious Glimmerroot. Look at 3 cards. Guess which one started in your opponent's deck to get a copy of it. This is a cool card. It's conceptually awesome. In practice, it's probably not great.
What do you mean? Give me a scenario.
It's a 3-mana 3/3, so it's not great. You have if you know the game well, maybe your odds are 50%. I mean, maybe if you have a really good shot at it. It depends how smart the mechanic is, right? If I'm playing against a Druid and I'm playing this on turn 3 and I see Nourish, Innervate, and Jade Idol, that's like a freaking high roll, right? Unless you've already seen one of those cards played.
So you just if you pick Innervate, you can get Innervate. If you pick Raven Idol, you may get Raven Idol, and you always
Raven Idol's gone.
Oh, right. Wait, so I don't understand how this card works.
It's a discover, essentially, right? You discover 3 cards. You get the discover screen with 3 cards. And you have to guess which one your opponent had in their starting hand. And if you guess right, you get a copy of it. Otherwise, you get none of them.
So it's just 3 random cards, right?
Well, 1 that started in their hand and 2 randos.
No, start in their deck.
Oh.
This card's really good, right?
Oh yeah, this card's broken. All you have to do is go to tempestorm.com.
I mean, especially in a tournament, you know what's in their deck.
Right? Yeah, you just always get it. This card's actually really good. I thought it was their starting hand. That's why I thought it was
Oh no, this card is broken, man. It's really good, dude. Let's just look at him. He's fumbling through the woods.
He's got fucking crystals out his head. He's a meth head. All right, let's move on. This card's broken.
Yeah, that card is actually pretty good.
Do you have anything else to say about Amara that I haven't already said? It's really powerful.
She's pretty thick, man.
Thick. Did people start playing BGH again?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what I was thinking, man.
I feel like they took it away from us because they hate us and they made it too much mana. 4 mana would have been fine. Whatever. And then they just added all these massive motherfuckers to the game. They added Jades to the game. And then they took away our best.
I agree it's uninsured. We can talk about, I'll put it in the notepad, talk about BGH.
Okay.
Too later. Alright, let's look at the legendary. It sucks.
Yep, okay. And let's go to Rogue. Wait, is this good? Yeah, this is Rogue.
Yes.
1 mana card. Discover a card from your opponent's class. It's better than Journey from Below. only because you can get spells, which Rogue does really well with. And generally, you want to play Rogue used to want to play the minions that it had in its deck, and really not really too many other ones.
You wouldn't play this card though, right?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're still playing the pirate package.
Right. I mean, is this ever better than Swashbuckler unless you have a gadget on board?
No, not really.
Okay. Razor Petal Lasher. Again, Priest had 1 elemental there, so tribal synergy is kind of out for them.
We gotta look at the neutral. I assume most of them are there, right?
Right, but if you looked at Mage, for instance, got a few. I assume
Shaman has 5.
Yeah, Shaman has all.
Oh my god, dude.
Razor Peddler Lasher. Razor. Oh, also, Mage did have a decent removal kit added. Priest did not. Just as a note.
I mean, Priest has a good. I think it's good.
No, they already have a decent removal kit, especially with Dragonfire Potion.
They have the
and
he got the
rotating out.
AoE too. I gotta turn the dishwasher on. Sorry.
Okay, I'll start this one off. Razor Peddler Lasher. That's fucking hard to say. I don't know. Add a Razor Pedal to your hand that deals 1 damage. And
All right, I'm back.
okay, so we're talking about Razor Pedal Lasher. I can't say that fucking word. Add a Razor Pedal to your hand that deals 1 damage. And these Razor Pedals are 1 mana, 1 damage cards. They're interesting. 1 mana cards are always interesting. Dealing damage in Rogue is always interesting. It doesn't have Malagos synergy. Wait, if you know this is a quest card.
Okay, well we should talk about the quest again.
Right. We'll get there. I'll be ready for it by the time we get to the neutrals.
All right, we gotta do that quest.
Okay, no, sorry, it's not a quest card because these are minions, not spells. The quest is play 4 minions with the same name. Reward is the Crystal Core. For the rest of the game, your minions are 5/5s. It's really powerful. It's really gimmicky as well. Again,
these are like enchantment swords, right? Like they can't be destroyed or something.
No, this is unbreakable.
Does it take up a slot on your board?
No, it is just an active aura effect.
It just hovers somewhere?
Yeah, I think it just says like quest complete and shows you. Like in the secret tab. The obvious thing that comes to mind is just send in the chargers, right? You complete this quest, you play Stone Toss Spores and Saucy Deckhands and just smork.
You could, like Shadow Step also works pretty well.
Oh, how to complete the quest.
Yeah,
you have Shadow Step. There's some cards in here that will also help you out. There's Gadgets and Ferryman, 2 mana, 2/3 combo. Return a friendly minion to your hand. There's Shadowcaster, 5 mana, 4/4. Put a copy of a card into your hand. It costs 1. It's a 1/1. It's a low tempo quest to complete, though, right?
I think it's gonna be harder than you think because you technically have to play 8 cards.
Right. That's my thing. Is it's a very low tempo quest to complete. And you also have Thistletea as well. That gives you 3 copies. Let's go through this. Let's look through the other cards and then talk about the quest later because there's some cards that add into it.
Okay.
What do you think about these Razor Pedals? Any good?
Like you still don't want to do anything but hero power on turn 2.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Especially if you have pirate engine.
Right.
Turn 1, 2. Like there's just not much better value. Like on turn 3, this card may be okay. Because you can play that and deal 1 damage to something, right? Like you could play the 2-drop and then play the 1 right away.
The thing about this card is, if Emperor was still in the game, it'd be broken, right? Because you just play it in Malagos. And it's one, like you play the 2 mana spell, and you just instantly get damage from 1 card.
Well, it could be good with Auctioneer too. Just 1 mana spells, right?
Yeah, just pretty low impact for early game. 1 damage is not a lot for 1 mana.
It's actually good for early game because like I'm saying, you can play like the Pirate 1, Dagger on 2, and then play this on 3, and then you have like 2 to 3 damage divided between your Dagger, Swash, your Patches, and the Pedal. So you could have up to 4 damage divided on turn 3, which is pretty powerful to like combat. Especially a lot of these like 1/1 Paladin decks and like the 1/1 Hunter decks.
Very true. Yeah, this card's interesting. They're interesting because there's a lot of value and there's a lot of like rogue things to do with them.
Yeah, like one mana card. It's good for combo. It's good with Auctioneer, SI especially. I think it's good.
Yeah. Let's move on to the thing that we lost Blade Flurry for.
Oh man, this is really good.
Yeah. It's 2 Assassinates for 3 mana. Maybe more, depending on if you play Assassin's Blade or some other crazy card. I don't know what you kids are doing these days.
Are you saying Blade Flurry?
Yeah, well, I'm just saying they said they wanted more design space, and this is it.
Well, good job, Blizzard. You really outdone me this time.
Well, I will say though, if you played this with Blade Flurry, does it destroy every minion?
I'm pretty sure it does. No, it doesn't. I don't think it does.
If it did,
Blade Flurry breaks your weapon. It breaks your weapon.
It deals the damage. You're right.
Yeah. So Blade Flurry died for nothing.
Yep. Blade Flurry is the OG sacrifice of Hearthstone.
Oh no. Part of me died.
Do you think if the standard rotation hit sooner, that Blade Flurry wouldn't have died for our sins? Like if Tinker's Sharpsword Oil was gone?
I think they just had it out for Rogue, man. Like you could still play. I would play Blade Flurry with 2 Deadly Poisons every day.
Yeah, I would too.
At least 1 Blade Flurry. Like 1 Blade Flurry, 2 Deadly Poisons all day.
Yeah.
Like that was the old Miracle Rogue still.
Yeah. I don't understand why in this meta that it had to be gone, because it would have been maybe they wouldn't have played. They would have played Pirates, but maybe there's a world where they
people don't like getting their board wiped with like a prep finish. It's a sensitive topic for people,
right?
And let's just not get into it.
Okay.
I don't know. We're just questioning their design philosophy at this point, and we both know it's not the best thing to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Also,
next card.
One thing that I didn't add, Jesse, with
sure,
that 1 mana Paladin card. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. It's way up there.
I'll scroll up.
It's the Adaption card, right? The 1 mana Adaption card. One cool combo that they showed off with it that I don't think you saw was if you play a Pyromancer and then play this and get Poisonous, it clears the board.
Because when it deals damage...
Mm-hmm. I don't know why that interaction works, but that's how the interaction works.
Did you show that on purpose?
Yeah, they did.
PogChamp. So there's a 30% chance that you can get a quality.
Yep.
Yeah, that's just the same.
Yeah, I just thought that was interesting. I didn't mention it earlier. Just want to throw.
No, that's pretty funny. I didn't know that.
Okay, so Mimic Pod's half the price of Thistle Tea. You also lose 1 card, so it's just better because 3 mana for 1 card is a lot. Draw a card.
Arcane Intellect, man. Should be good. Sure.
Let's keep moving on. Obsidian.
Like even if you draw like 2 backstabs from this, it's still pretty good.
Yeah. Here's another card that
patches.
Blade Flurry died for our sins 1 more time, and for it we get Obsidian Shard. Costs 1 less for each card you played from another class. It just seems overpriced for what Rogue wants to do. I guess eventually it's free. I don't think that it'll see play. I don't think it's a terrible card. I just don't think I would play it personally. I don't think.
What if it is free, man? Like it's free on like turn 7. Okay, like let's say this card has 0 mana. You can only play this card on turn 6 or 7. Would you play it?
No, I would just play Deadly Poison. It's 1 mana for 1 less charge.
There you have the answer, man.
Let's keep moving. Biteweed is another Edwin Van Cleef, just smaller. It's okay.
That's a really funny card. I like this card.
Biteweed?
Yeah, with the coin and stuff.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I mean, it's just a small Edwin, right? I don't know if you play 3 Edwins, especially considering that Biteweed is not nearly stacking as well.
I probably would play 3 Edwins.
Is this better than Questing Adventure, though?
No. It's... Questing Adventure is the worst card in Standard now because of you don't have Conceal.
Sure.
Right.
Okay, so
Questing Adventure is unplayable.
Is this better than Questing Adventure, though?
Absolutely. This card, I think, is It's like a 3. It's average like a 4/4, right? With the coin and counterfeit coins and pirates and the pedals. Like it's average like a 3/3 4/4. It's pretty.
Yeah,
good.
I guess it does synergize well with those pedal cards, huh? Okay, let's keep moving.
Yeah.
Biospine.
Yep.
This is just a comboed version of Assassinate as well. It seems
It's
okay.
just a better version of like the Sapper card.
Yeah. Oh, compared to Kidnapper, right? Like Jesus.
Yeah, Kidnapper.
The only thing this is worse against is Sylvanas, which isn't in standard anymore. So,
Is this card good?
my biggest concern with this card is that it depends how Rogue plays. Like, what turn is Rogue ending the game on? If it's ending the game on turn 9 or 10, this card's good. If it's ending the game on turn 6 or 7, you probably don't have the time to deal with this card.
I mean, okay, it looks like Rogue is not going tribal, right? So we're probably going with like some kind of like mid-range. It's gonna be like a kind of like old school Rogue. Hold on a second. You give me like a couple seconds.
Yeah, not a problem. Yeah, I don't know. This card's like destroying a minion. We're told 3 mana is what a 3/4 is, and we're told that destroying a minion in Rogue is valued at 5 mana, based on core set cards. Which means that this card, with the prerequisite of a combo, is good on its mana. That makes it like good, but is it good within the confines of the deck? And that's where I have trouble with this card, is that I'm not certain that it's going to be good within the confines of the deck. And that's what concerns me with it. But I'm going to move forward and talk about the legendary for Rogue, which is Sharzan, the Corpse Flower. Go dormant. Play 4 cards in a turn to revive this minion. This card's too slow, unfortunately. I think that going dormant and coming back as a 5/3, really powerful. It comes back as a 5/5. A lot of it depends on if Gadget's End's still playable within Rogue. If it's not, you don't have the ability to play 4 cards within a turn and have a hand still. So if you only get it back twice, it's good, not great, because you spend 4 mana on a 5/3, they remove it instantly, and you don't get it back the next turn. It's really not that great. And I'll let Jesse get a sense of when he comes back.
Are we still talking about the 5/4?
So I kind of like tied it up a little bit while you're gone. I was just saying that essentially the problem, like with this card, its stats really are great in a sense that the game tells us that 3/4s are valued around 3 mana, and that for Rogue to destroy a minion outright is 5 mana with the prerequisite of a combo. It kind of fits the card. It's not that the card's bad, it just doesn't fit within the deck that Rogue wants to play.
Maybe if you're trying to finish the quest, this card is really good with Shadow Step.
Yeah, I agree. So it just depends if it fits the deck, essentially.
Yeah, this is a good card.
Do you want to talk any more about Crystal Core?
Oh, man, I don't know. I just don't think it's very good.
It seems like Time Warp a little bit. It's hard to meet the prerequisites for it, and it can be game-breaking, but do you really want to put 2 Stone Tusk Boars and deckhands into your deck just to smork for the finish? And is that good enough? The last card is Sharzan, the Corpse Flower. Go dormant is the Death Rattle. Play 4 cards in a turn to bring it back. So go dormant just means that the card will reappear on the board when you play 4 cards in a turn. The biggest hurdle that I was thinking for this card is Gadget's End still a playable Rogue card?
It pretty much has to be for Rogue to be a tier deck, right? Because that's the like people try like different versions of Rogue with like all the pyre stuff started, the aggro stuff, right? And like only one true really Rogue version remains in like super competitive play. Yeah, there's like that water Rogue deck, whatever, but
you can play any class in water Rogue with a Finja, and you'll win a certain percent of the time because Finja connects. So maybe Rogue's a better shell for it because of the pirates and the hero power. But
I think as long as you have counterfeit coin and auctioneer, it will be an auctioneer deck.
so I think this card's in that scenario. If you think that Gadgesan will still be playable, this is a pretty decent card because it's really high intensive on putting like a minion on the board for free.
But like you're basically saying I'm putting a 5/3 on turn 4. If it's just a vanilla, pretty bad, right?
Yeah.
Like terrible, awful card.
So
if you're, but like, let's say this card will come back like 3 turns later or something. Would you play it? Like it just says 5/3.
No, because you don't want to pay in stats just to get a card back in the future when you don't even know if you'll still be in a position to win the game.
That's exactly what this card is.
Okay, so let's move on to the next. I think this is our last class, Shaman, right?
Oh God, here we go.
Air Elemental, pretty bad card. It's an Elemental, which makes it decent, but other than Mage, it doesn't really stomp anyone.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready.
Okay, let's move on from Air Elemental. It's a 1-drop. It does things. Hot Spring Guardian is another Elemental. By the way, Rogue got a few spells. Light removal with the petals and hard removal with the 1 card. No AOE, but it did get an interesting grouping of spells with the poisonous blade card.
I like Rogue. I like Rogue. Tomb Pillager and Drake, which were like
staples.
That was the best Drake deck. Was Rogue too.
Right. It was Rogue, then Druid for Drake, and then Shaman.
Yeah.
But anyways, let's push forward. So we have a better version of Early Ring Farseer in terms of defensive nature.
Insane.
And it's also an Elemental, which when we get to the neutrals, we'll talk more about the Elemental tag. But for now, let's just say this is a good card.
This is already OP, man. I can't handle this.
Tidal Surge. I really like this card. Deal 4 damage. Restore 4 health to your hero. You've got this awesome little froggy thing. But overall, it's a good card, right? If Jade Lightning's good in a control deck, this is also good.
It can't go face, man. It's not good.
Right?
Like, well, no, like that's why Jade Lightning is so good. It has that reach.
That's true.
Too.
I don't know if you ever play this over Jade Lightning in general, but it
does. No, you probably wouldn't. I don't think.
But it does make up for the loss of Healing Wave because Shaman has everything, and if they lose a bit of healing, we gotta give it back to them. So this is healing.
Oh, you got the Earth and Rain Guardian now, man.
That's true.
Yeah.
And here's another Elemental for Shaman. We will talk more about this card later on, but reducing the cost of your Elementals in your hand is gonna be good. Is paying 2 mana for 1/1 okay for Shaman? Yeah, because they can cheat mana crazily, and they still have a way to remove Overload because they have that 3/2 that does it. So, this card looks okay. What do you think?
I gotta see the Elemental neutrals first.
Okay, let's push forward. By the way,
rival.
By the way, just want to throw this out there. The artwork in this set has been phenomenal. It is.
It's you can see it's definitely drawn by different people.
Yeah, it's been. It's like it's hilarious. It's really showing off that this game's meant for kids.
I will. Thanks for that. That just solidifies my decision to take a hiatus.
This is just a card. I don't really have much to say about it.
Next, we're skipping this.
Volcano. We talked about this a bit. This is a pretty good card. It's pretty decent single target removal. It's good against 2 big minions. It's good against a lot of little minions. Is it better than Elemental Destruction? Situationally, yes. Most of the time, no.
Card's okay, right?
Yep. Do you have anything else to add to it?
It's really about like what kind of removal you want to play against which decks.
Right.
But I can see this card being like pretty good if it's not good if there's like 2 or 3 mid-sized creatures, right?
Right.
And like and the thing is you want to populate your board with totems, so that'll soak up 2 of the damage. So you have to think about that. Like you're gonna lose. You always want to play this deck in a control shaman deck, but even then you want to have totems. So that's kind of like a controversy, I guess. Like something you have to deal with.
Right. Yep, I agree with you on that. Let's move forward. So this is the new version of Echo of Medivh, but for Shaman, because, well, if other cards did something cool with it, let's give it to Shaman. I don't think this card's very good. Give your minions Death Rattle, return this to your hand. It just, Shaman doesn't want to do this. You don't want copies of totems in your hand.
Cards like this have never been good. So
Yeah, let's keep moving.
maybe Medivh.
Okay, so here's the 7-drop Elemental for Shaman. If you
Whoa.
played an Elemental last turn, summon feral spirits for free that are also Elementals. So that is what? 9, 10 of stats for 7 mana? It's a
like feral spirit's like the 4 mana card, right?
Yeah.
Like and then a 4/4 is like a 3.5 mana.
This is just a good card. It's weak to AoE, but it's good.
It makes a board on its own.
Yep. And it protects one, too.
Sure. Yeah, it's okay.
They saw Dr. Boom and they were like, this card's kind of similar. Let's print it for Shaman. Really high board impact on a 7-drop slot. That's really weak for most other classes.
I agree with that.
Okay. It's not as powerful as Dr. Boom. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying that like the board impact of Dr. Boom was the most important thing about it. And this is a really high impact 7-drop on the board itself.
Yeah, it makes a board on its own. So it's okay if you just play it on 7. Like, what's the worst that's gonna happen?
Nothing, man. It's Shaman. Nothing bad happens. Okay, and that's all right. And here is
Oh my gosh, what is this?
So play 10 Murlocs. So that's where that totem comes into play. Reward
this
is
Alex's card, man.
Yeah. So and the battle cry is fill your hand with random Murlocs.
Oh my god.
We saw this with Neptulon. It's,
Mega fan.
this is just not a good card.
No, this has like this is a pretty fun deck though, right?
Yeah, I mean like you could win with it. I'm not saying that, but it's just not a good card.
Fill your hand with random Murlocs. Does that mean you overdraw the next turn?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, you can dump one, right? Tell me you have more mana, right?
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm more of a half cup empty kind of guy, but anyhow.
Alright, let's move on. And Kalamos the Primal Lord.
What the hell is this?
This is why Shaman's busted.
What is this, man?
Invocation of Air is crazy.
Oh my god.
Invocation of Earth is crazy.
What is this card?
Invocation of Water is crazy.
That's the most broken legendary they printed.
You know what's crazy about it is I want to talk a little bit about the third one. And I think Raynad say this, and I agree with him fully. The shitty thing about printing it with this freaking deal damage to enemy hero is if Shaman's playing an elemental deck, that means you start the game with 24 health.
Yeah, you can definitely say it that way too.
And that's just it. And this card, I don't really have much more to say about it other than this creates the elemental deck for Shaman more than any other card will. This
is the best legendary I've ever seen printed.
Especially because you can curve the 7-drop into this one.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
Let me see.
So I don't really have anything else to say about it. I think it's just absolutely disgusting.
This is just so stupid. You can get out of any situation. Card.
Yep. All right, let's move on. I don't need to spend too much time talking about how broken that is.
Dude, that's why I don't. Oh man.
All right.
Oh,
I kind of want to.
I think we just end it right here.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the honest view?
Oh, I don't know. It's just a Reddit album. Oh, yeah, don't worry about that.
Yeah, but so let's get on to Warlock. Shaman. Let's talk about what Shaman got. They got AOE that also acts as single target removal. They got Tribal Synergy. They got their quest is not as good as some of the others, but it's still a quest card. It could be broken. We don't know yet.
Yeah, maybe that's why like they decided to do this, right?
Right. Because it's not as good as is that better than Amara? It might not be.
The quest is unplayable. Okay, in a competitive environment, the shaman and the mage quests are unplayable. But in essence, they replace that with the casual quest, but with the competitive tribal synergy. Do you see that?
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
Which can just turn out to just be, oh man.
Okay, let's move on to Warlock. I don't need to talk about Shaman anymore, man. We're almost at 2 hours as it is.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're on the discard lock now.
Yeah. So the first one is Lockharry Fellhound. Taunt, discard 2 random cards.
It's probably bad, right? Because you don't want to discard the 2 cards.
Yeah. Especially, there's just too many cards that are essential to the deck that I don't think a fourth.
It's Doomguard. Doomguard is the reason this deck you want to play this, right?
Right.
So,
and this is never better than Doomguard. So
no,
it depends also how many times your hand's going to be empty in the new way that you play discard lock. If your hand's empty and you're tapping like earlier on than you used to, this card's pretty good then, right?
No, it's not.
Okay. All right, let's move on then.
I don't see myself playing this card.
This card's interesting. Ravenous Pterodax. Destroy a friendly minion to adapt twice.
I like the design of this card.
It's a 4-mana 7/7.
Cool. It's a very cool card. I don't know if it's actually going to be good. I don't think it will be, but I like the design.
If it had one more stat point and was a 4/5, it would be pretty damn broken.
Yeah, but maybe like if it like eats a 1-drop, pretty good, right?
The issue is that you can't curve this into Imp Gang Boss anymore. Because if you could curve this and trade in Imp Gang Boss and then kill the 1/1 Imp and then adapt, it'd be really freaking good.
Oh yeah.
But that's not the case anymore.
Ooh, Tarlurker.
Yeah, Tarlurker's an interesting card, right? It has +3 attack during your opponent's turn. It's a 4/7. It's got 2 more stat points than Fen Creeper. The only thing that makes it a little bit interesting is that it has the Elemental tag. Otherwise, I kind of brush it off and say there's probably better cards to play at the 5-mana slot.
This is probably what you play when you don't draw Doomguard, right? So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and we didn't look at the quest first.
Oh yeah. We'll be ready for the next set.
Yeah. Well, Warrior. We still have Warrior. So our quest is to discard 6 cards, and our reward is the Nether Portal. And I actually have no idea how Nether Portal works.
Oh, I think you get 2 3/2s at the end of your turn.
That just doesn't sound good.
It's like
You have to take the game long for that to be good, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And
That's
there's not enough healing to take the game long.
But like, how quickly can you complete this quest? Right, pretty fast. You can complete this by turn.
You have to take a whole turn to open it up. I guess if you get 2 3/2s that turn, it's not awful.
Yeah, man. You open the gates. You just let them out, dude.
Maybe it's good.
It's probably bad, but I think you can complete it very fast in a dedicated deck. So.
The issue with it is you're tapping a lot if you're going to complete it fast, because if you can't discard cards that you don't have in your hand.
Right. I mean, that's why you have Reno, right?
Corrupting Mist. Corrupt every minion. Destroy them at the start of your next turn.
Man, that would have been really good in Reno.
Yep. It just depends if the meta allows for this card to be played.
It probably won't be, but this is a cool card.
Yeah, very good card. Really beautiful art. Really beautiful art too. But it's
definitely not drawn by the person that drew.
Yeah, it's really good in a Warlock deck that doesn't want to play its first minion until turn 4.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
It's a good card. It just wants to play.
Yep. Feeding Time. Deal 3 damage to a minion. Summon 3 1/1 Pterodaxes. This doesn't sound very good. Is this ever better than Bane of Doom? Sometimes, right?
This is what Implosion should have been, right?
Right.
So it's, I mean, like anything that spawns minions and deal damage shouldn't be overlooked, but for 5, it's like maybe a bit too much. So.
It's probably 1 mana too much.
Yeah.
Or 1 damage too little. One of the two. This is an interesting card. Cruel Dinomancer. Summon a random minion you discarded this game.
Oh, it's Death Rattle though, man.
Oh, it is Death Rattle. That makes it a bit too slow, huh?
Yeah, it's probably a little bad.
Would you play it at a 5/7?
Yes, I would play it at 5/7.
Okay. Yep. So it's just a little bit too understated.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
And it's also like random, so you're not guaranteed.
Right. You could discard a Doomguard and a Voidwalker, but if you summon the Voidwalker, you probably lose.
Oh my god.
Bloodbloom. They've been trying this for a while with Warlock.
Yeah, it doesn't work, man. Nobody wants to do this.
Yeah, and in a control Warlock deck, I could see where you could think that, like, oh, I can early Twisting Nether or early Siphon Soul.
Nether on turn 1, dude.
But the issue with it all is 1, there's no way to heal, and 2, you're using up a lot of resources that you'd utilize later in the game, and you're not getting ahead at all.
Oh, this is not good.
This is just not good.
We've tried this, and it's not good.
You know what though? If Implosion was still a card, I would consider that on turn 2.
Yeah, because you get that huge swing, with the board. That's the most important.
Yeah, so maybe with that Dino card, it could be okay.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, okay.
That's the only thing you could convince me that would be a tempo play, like, because I don't want that late game. I'd rather just pay the mana.
Yeah, right. It's like a prep, right? So.
And here's more of the same. Battle cry, discover a spell, deal damage to your hero equal to its cost.
Oh, this is insane.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a card, man. It's like the plant card. It's the same card, except you get more of a choice because the plant card you only get to pick the card that comes up, right? Like you get 3 random cards and only one of them is yours, right? Like that card is in the opponent deck. You just take it, right? And the other 2 cards are bad cards, and if you pick them, you don't get the card. So you literally only just get 1 card for free.
It's just the 3/3 and dealing damage. Like, what card are we picking here?
It doesn't matter. It's just from a value standpoint, this card's very good.
Right, I agree. It's just that loss of Reno is just like bogging my ability to clearly think about this card as anything other than holy shit.
I mean, like you're playing Flame Imps sometimes, right? Like this is just like a Flame Imp, but it gives you value instead of stats. This card is really good. It's got to be good. Like from a most competitive standpoint in the game, you're always willing to sacrifice a lot for card advantage, which is just Warlock's hero power, right? So it's good.
Right. All right. Well, let's move forward to Clutch Mothers of Us.
I feel like that's the only good Warlock card in the set.
The legendary.
The epic. I haven't looked at legendary yet, though.
I think you'll think it's okay.
I mean, this is why you play this is why you play the quest, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a good card.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else to say about it.
Yeah, that's how you complete the quest.
Yep.
You open this card, you complete the quest.
Right. You hard mulligan for 1-drops, and you hope to draw this in Silverware Golems, and then just jam a bunch of discard cards in there. And
yeah, sure.
high roll it.
This is. I don't think this archetype is good, but this is the card to support it. Sure.
I just wish that it was like a little bit less powerful, like a 2-mana 2/2 epic that gives +1/+1 for every time you discard it.
But then
so
nobody would play. But that would be OP because you open with 2 of them, right? And then
I guess it's just hard to build around this card,
But it has to be OP because the quest is like it seems a bit underpowered, right? Like they're trying to force this quest through to people to play.
Right. All right. Well, let's move on to Warrior. Warlock got some single target removal. It got 1 AOE in terms of Corrupting Mist. It got 1 Elemental and a bunch of discard stuff.
All right. Let's look at my class and how it's changed.
So this is so we'll start off with Shield Block.
Well, let's go with the quest, man.
Oh yeah. We did
7 taunt minions. Ooh, so for us. Oh man.
Yeah, they give Warrior a new finisher, and it looks pretty darn fun to play.
That is quite good.
It's very good. The weapon itself is very good too. A 3 mana 4/2 weapon's good.
It's a good quest.
Yeah, I like it. Does that make you happy? Seeing that quest for Warrior?
Well, we'll see about the crappy cards we get then.
All right, let's go back up and look at them.
All right. Ironhide. That's no.
The thing about it though is it's interesting how much they value one card in Warrior, right? At 2 mana. Because, you know, depending on how Warrior plays out, right? Like, you could play Pyro, Ironhide, and then Sleep with the Fishes.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's good. I'm just saying, like, it's just interesting. It's an interesting spell. It's 1 mana.
Sure. Okay.
Ornery Direhorn, Taunt, Adapt, Battlecry. It's probably 1 mana too much.
I mean, it's a very fair card. It's just a better Sunwalker, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is a good card. I'll definitely play it in the taunt deck for sure. This card is really good. Yeah.
And here's a good version of what Warlock got. Tar
Oh my
Lord,
god.
a 1/11 +4 attack during your opponent's turn. This is a really
this
good
card
card.
that's a lot better.
Yeah.
Feature.
This is a really good card.
Okay, well okay. So we got our turn 6 and our turn 7.
And the Shifter Xeris of Weapons, Molten Blade. Each turn this is in your hand, transform it into a new weapon.
Interesting.
This is really tough to evaluate, right? How often is this better than
Fiery War Axe? It's not. Right?
No, well,
like,
nothing.
Most likely it's not.
How much better is this going to be on average than, like, if because I think Kinsey Defender wrote it out. What if this always ended up being the Hunter Seeker weapon, Eaglehorn Bow?
You would not play it because Warrior might play that card. It's still 7 mana though. Like, use Gorehound, man. Like, you know.
Yeah, I guess if the mana cost was somehow affected, this card would see a better chance of being played. But I think with Sulfuras, Tomb Fiery War Axe, and Gorehowl, I think this card will not see.
Like, there's not enough good weapons besides, like, you already have good weapons as Warrior. So, like, I mean, okay, you have Fiery War Axe as a Warrior. So you don't need to, you don't need this.
I agree. It's also, the biggest thing about this card is not that it's bad, but that it takes up a card slot in your deck.
It's probably really cool golden, though, because, like,
yeah.
lava would drip down. So.
You wouldn't even see it, though, because it would transform.
Oh, no, dude. That's such a scam.
Let's move on to Cornered Sentry. Taunt, Battlecry, summon 3 1/1 Raptors for your opponent.
It's pretty bad, right?
I think so. I think there's too much that's going to go on in terms of minion buffing and adapting to make this card good.
Yeah, like, they could use that. Like, they're not going to be...
If Hunter's popular and they get to curve into their 2 mana adapt card because you played this, you'll feel like a fool.
I mean, even like a Direwolf or a Timberwolf buffs the Raptors too, right?
Yeah.
Beasts. Yeah.
And even against like a Druid, then they just use Wrath to kill off your 2-drop like it was a 2/3.
Yeah, I don't think you're desperate enough to play this card.
Yeah. I think you'd almost rather just play Dirty Rat still. Okay, there's the Raptors. Here's another one of the Force Taunt cards, and this is a pretty good one as well. So this gives you the 4, 5, 6, 7 taunt curve because you have Bloodhoof Brave into Direhorn Hatchling, which is a really interesting card in terms of a couple things that I'll bring up. Death Rattle. Shuffle 6/9 Direhorn with Taunt into your deck. And that is also a 5 mana 6/9 Beast with Taunt. I think this card's really interesting because if there's any way that you still play Alexstrasza, I mean, this could bring about a decent Curator pick draw, and Curator's also a Taunt.
Let's see. I mean, it's good in like a fatigue warrior, I guess, because it's just a
It's just a good value card.
Yeah, it's a tiny bit understated, but I think it's an okay card, but it probably I don't know. There's better 5 drops to play, but this is just a mediocre card, I think, unless like you're going that route when it's like warrior versus warrior, and then you each play 2 of these. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's probably just not something you want.
Depends if you play N'Zoth too.
Oh yeah, sure.
And the 5-mana 6/9 top deck is pretty strong throughout the rest of the game.
Okay. You look at it this way: like, how good is White Eyes?
Pretty darn good.
But it's not very good, right? Like in essence, it's not that great.
Well,
I would play a 5/5 over a 3/6.
It also depends too, because it depends if this deck still finds a way to run dragons. Because I do think if you can draw taunts off of a curator that also has taunt, it's not terrible.
I mean, then you might as well play Finja too, right?
Well, yeah. Why are we playing? Are we not playing Finja in this deck?
Oh my god. Alright, next.
Alright, yeah.
What the hell is this? Okay, so we skipped this card, right? This is a meme.
Yep.
Okay.
Sudden Genesis. Summon copies of your damaged minions. Does this work with the quest? No, it says play, not summon. It does not.
This never works, right? We talked about effects like this.
Yep. They never end up working out.
Yeah,
it's the same as Blood Warriors, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Doesn't work too well. So yeah, this is a okay. So, the legendary is okay.
Yeah, it's Whirlwind
King
Mosh, right? It's good.
Yeah, I mean, just King Mosh on like 1 or 2 cards is pretty good too.
The only thing that sucks about King Mosh is that we lose Revenge. You know what this card would have been really good with? Death Spite.
Yeah, I mean, the whole class would be good. I mean, people just wouldn't play this deck if there was Death Spite, right? You would just smork.
Right.
All
right.
Yeah.
All right. So Warrior got a lot. It got everything. It got weapons. It got removal. It got AOE. It got an interesting good quest. I'm happy.
It's got good minions to play to replace things that are going on.
And they built it to its identity too, which is cool. Being a controller.
Yeah, taunt up, dude. You gotta build the wall, man.
Okay, we're gonna try to run through these pretty fast because we're getting pretty late on this recording. All right.
All right.
All right. So Emerald Reaver, deal 1 damage to each hero.